Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Welcome to you, and also welcome to you over there. Welcome to you sitting on the walking on the treadmill, sitting in your car, listening to me in Australia or the Netherlands or wherever you speak the English language, wherever you're speaking the lingity. There isn't a translator. It's not Google Translate for audio, is there, Jared? Oh, okay, that's the next thing. That's the next step in evolution. Is for me to speak it into this microphone and it to come out the other side in the native tongue.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
I don't know if the inflection would come across, though. You know, it's kind of like when actually, that in English that happens because the National Weather Service, when we get the National Weather Service things, attention, the National Weather Service of New Orleans has issued a severe flooding for, that's a robot. Yeah. It's an automated voice. And it's just reading, it's reading the typing, and it doesn't put the inflection like D'Iberville is, I think the computer pronounces it Diaperville.
Oh,
or no, it's D'Iberville.
D'Iberville.
Yeah, the computer pronounces it, not Diaperville, D'Iberville. For D'Iberville in southern Mississippi. You guys have all heard that, right?
You know what's kind of cool is that I took a picture the other day and I put it in a search engine and it found what it was for me.
Wow.
Like what was in the picture, it found what it was. That's insane.
I thought you were going to say you took a picture and you put it up on the line.
No.
Did you put it on your wall?
Yeah. I unfriend you.
I unfriend you. That's not how any of this works. Kids, did you enjoy yesterday's show? I hope so. If you didn't, where do you write to?
P.O. Box
405, Boulder, Colorado.
Yep, Boulder, Colorado.
To get a complete refund of yesterday's purchase price. We'll be happy to. Matter of fact, I'll get Zach right on that. I'll tell him to go pull all the mail from P.O. Box 405, Boulder, Colorado. And what's even funnier is that was before zip codes, so there was no zip. It was just right to, nutrition at P.O. Box 405, Boulder, Colorado. Huh. Right to head lice at. Any problem you had, the U.S. government had a pamphlet. You know that's what that was for, right, Jared? You get a pamphlet on. Want to know how to get rid of head lice? Want to know how to compost your coffee grounds? Right to P.O. Box 405.
If you can't figure out how to compost your coffee grounds, then you...
Dude, you're talking into a microphone right now, and greater than 50% of the people on the receiving end don't even know what you're talking about when you say compost. Compost what?
Like for your plants and stuff.
Like composing? Like you're composing something?
Oh, man.
No, I'm telling you.
Robert, did you see what Robert made? The little portable, and it wasn't really a portable garden. But
who?
Robert, the grad program member. Or maybe he didn't post it I think I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I saw his post.
This is a super secret communication between you and someone else that I'm not privy to. So, no, I did not see that.
He made like a table, and it was the size of a piece of plywood.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The top of it was, he cut out 6 sections and put, it looked like trash cans in there, so he could make, a garden that was in his garage.
Oh, cool.
To, test some stuff out. I thought that was pretty cool.
He's not growing cannabis, is he?
I don't know.
You didn't just bust him out for, hemp growth, did you?
I would say he's in, Colorado, so maybe he's growing some.
He might be growing cannabis.
No, he said he wasn't really.
You make really good ropes
out
of hemp.
Yeah.
Really good rope.
That is true.
Yeah.
I'm not here to tell you what to do with your stuff.
You're an American. Do what you want to do, and I don't care. You know what? I really don't care if you smoke a dump truck full of dope. I don't care. But you know what you don't get? You don't get 1 penny of my money to support your habit. Oh, screw you, guy. I don't get any of your money at all. Really? Really?
Did you see the video that I posted to my Facebook about the dude paying the IRS?
No.
Can I play it? Because I think a lot of people need to hear it.
Is it going to make me angry?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't need to be angry, though. I don't want to be angry.
I'm going to find it because it needs to be played.
Oh. Is it going to guarantee me an IRS audit? If it's going to guarantee me an IRS audit, don't do it.
Okay.
Oh, you...
That's funny.
I hear people on there like, I thought you said that you shouldn't live your life in fear. You shouldn't be afraid of your government. That's right. If you are afraid of the government, if the government fears the people, we have liberty. If the people fear the government, we have tyranny. And I'm going to go ahead and say this to you, since yesterday was the official tax enslavement day, which is really ironic because yesterday was the 18th. Today is the 19th, at least as we're broadcasting this. If you're picking it up later, well, that's your prerogative. But so the 18th was National Peasant Enslavement Day, and the 19th is the celebration, which I really think that this is as important, if not more so, than July 4th, 1776. And it saddens me that so many people don't know the importance of the 19th of April.
Well, that's why you wrote an article, and it's on the blog right now.
We used to know, and then they stopped teaching it. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, do your thing, man.
Happy Tax Week, everybody. Here it is right here. I'm going to hold it up. It's backwards, but you can see a check made out to the IRS for $170,000. Make me puke in my mouth. Now, I want to give you a heads up about something. This is my check to the federal government for 170 grand. This is not my total tax bill. This is simply the tax bill from the overage of what we paid what we thought I would owe at the end of 2015, but nope, there's a missing $170,000 that we'll have to pay plus interest because the federal government does that. And this is just federal taxes. It doesn't include state taxes, sales taxes, anything like that. Now, why do I tell you this? Because we hear so much about the rich paying their fair share, about businesses paying more. So when we calculate all of this, my tax bill from 2015 is about 65% of my income. How can that be? The wealthiest 1% don't pay taxes. Nay. Actually, top tax rate federal income is 42%, I think. Payroll is 16 or 17. So that's 58 right there, plus sales taxes, import taxes. There's all kinds of excise taxes. Add it all up, we're at about, local taxes, state taxes, property taxes. All adds up to 65-ish%. Now, don't the rich have loopholes? Aren't there loopholes for businesses? Actually, the reason why this is so much and why we were $170,000 off what we thought we were going to pay is because there's what I call a reverse loophole with businesses. Now, the reverse loophole looks like this. If you sell physical products, if you've got to order things in order to sell them, the IRS does not let you write that off. So at the end of any year, if you order $1 million worth of product that you hope to sell the next year, the government makes you pay money on that inventory. So money that you haven't even made yet. In fact, money that you already spent and put into the business. So if you ordered $100,000 of inventory because you want to sell it, well, you've got to pay tax on that. So the bank account's been drained, and then you've got to pay tax on money that isn't there. So this is actually a check from my personal account because I've got to float the money to pay tax on the business because we had to invest money to stay in business. Now, what could a business person do with a check for $170,000? By the way, I know what you're thinking. If you're sitting there thinking, well, that means that he had to make a lot of money. Again, nay. Well, yes, sort of true. I had a really good year business-wise, but all of the money that on paper it says I make is tied up in that inventory, is tied up in the businesses in order to help them grow. Now, what could a business person do with $170,000? You know what I would like to do? Hire more people. I'd love to hire 3 highly paid people at $55,000 or 5 people at $35,000 a year. But I can't because it's going to the government, and half of this is going to go fight wars that nobody wants to be in. At least a quarter is going to go to bureaucracy, just paying for the management of things like the IRS. I'd love to put it back into a business or back into people. So every time you hear that the government creates jobs or the government is going to do something, just know that in order to do that, it has to take money from jobs that normally would be created, and it then goes and spends that money on bureaucracy and wars and programs that don't work, and this much might go to a program that you like. And the majority of it goes to something that we probably all agree on we don't like and don't want to be a part of. So the government can't just create things out of thin air. It has to take from what would be productive, hiring people, investing into more products and services, creating better experiences for customers, putting into a college fund for my 10-month-old daughter. Any of that would be a better use. But no, people got to pay their fair share. It's not how it works, people. It's not how it works. The most productive and most efficient place to put money if you want to grow the economy and fix all our problems is back into the hands of people, not in the hands of greedy, out-of-touch politicians.
Who was that again?
Let me see.
Wasn't Garrett J. White?
No, it wasn't. It was Ryan Morgan.
Okay.
So there's that. I just felt like that needed to be said because coming from somebody that is in the top 1% and has to pay their fair share, then, I mean, that's better to come from them than it is somebody that doesn't even pay taxes at all.
Well,
but they
folks
get money back anyway.
Folks, yeah. If Jared, you know the level of frustration that I experience on a daily basis, especially now. The people that should understand and don't is what my greatest form of frustration in the world is not the bottom feeders and welfare parasites that I have to wade through at Walmart or when I'm out. Now they're invading Target now.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah, they're invading Target. It's not them. Wow, you're arrogant. No, fornicate yourself. Oh, it's not them. I understand that they're really nothing more than a huge mass of useful idiots. They're addicted to free stuff, to distraction. They're addicted to distraction, and they can get their distraction by their shiny objects and sports teams and what's going to come out and Dance with the Stars and all that nonsense. I get that. My greatest form of frustration is in encountering people that are supposed to be on the team, that are supposed to get it, that are supposed to understand, and they don't. Why does it fall upon me to teach 7th grade history or junior high history, junior high civics? Why do I have to begin a conversation with people who want to be patriots or supposed to be patriots? You know, I'm hardcore pro-Second Amendment and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, yeah, but fair. Like, if you are pro-Second Amendment and the word but fair comes out of your mouth, you stop yourself, check yourself. Fair is where you go to ride on rides and eat cotton candy and candy apples and stuff. That's what fair is. Fair is not life. Life is not fair. It never has been. It never will be. It's an illusion. It's insanity. So with the remaining time, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about igniting the torch of liberty, and the torch of liberty that was lit on this day over 200 years ago. But before we do that, Let's take a moment to thank and acknowledge our friends at Duracoat, because life is too short to have an ugly gun. And those of you who've gone out and bought the Student of the Gun tats from Duracoat, we're looking forward to seeing some pictures from you guys. Also, if you don't go to LauerWeaponry.com to get your Duracoat, well, that's cool, too. You can go over to Brownells.com and do it. And when you go over to Brownells, make sure that you sign up for their newsletter because, like we've mentioned before, they are constantly running specials. And I'm telling you, listen to me. Can you hear me? All right. When they run a special, you'll get an email. And if you open it 2 days later and go to buy, it's usually out of stock. And then you get all mad. And you're like, I really wanted that. You did? You really wanted that? So did 5,000 other people. So I don't know what to tell you. They're doing their best to make sure that you get what you need. So check them out and sign up for the newsletter at brownells.com.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
All right. Now, Jared, we're going to talk about lighting the torch of liberty. And here's what I know about myself. I'm going to take, once I launch out of this, I'm going to go all the way to the end. You want to thank SWAT Fuel and tell people about the SWAT Fuel store?
Thank you, SWAT Fuel. There is a SWAT Fuel store at SWATfuelstore.com.
Okay.
Is that what I was supposed to do?
Yeah, go to SWATfuelstore.com and use it. Is there a promo code they can use?
Yeah, you can use the promo code SOTG2015 at SWATfuelstore.com. Save some money on your order. If you're a grad program member, the code that we give you pays for your grad program membership. So,
yeah, the value is.
Now, I've got a lot of questions about, hey, where's the code? It's in, if you go to the most recent bonus hour and you scroll down a little bit and you actually read the text, it's in there.
You have to read the text of the email?
Yeah. It's no, not of the email. The actual bonus hour.
Oh, the actual bonus hour.
Like where you listen or download the radio.
Okay.
Yeah. It's in there. I promise.
I promise. Okay, cool. Frog Lube. It's green, it's minty fresh, and it just works. Frog Lube is a non-petroleum-based firearms lubricant that you can lube your hinges or your sword or whatever. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life. You're an American. Do what you want. And lastly, but not leastly,
I just recently saw a video.
You did?
From the Gun Collective. There was actually a video that he posted, I think, in 2014, where he basically took 2 sheets of
I saw
steel,
that.
yeah, and he marked them off with tape and a bunch of different products, and he left them out in the weather. And Frog Lube was number 1, right behind actual grease. So it's the number 1 product
grease.
that is made for firearms.
And that was actually before Frog Lube Extreme.
Yeah. It worked for rain, snow, and sun.
Hey, if you guys are going to be at the Concealed Carry Expo in Atlanta in 2 weeks, yeah, it's 2 weeks. Actually, 2 weeks from today will already have been gone and come back. So it's the last weekend of April. It's April 29th, 30th, and May 1st because, we only get 30 days in April. You guys remember that, right?
30 days has September, April, June,
and November. That's right. So, the last weekend of April, Jared and Paul and our production assistant, Alex, we are all going to be in Atlanta for the Concealed Carry Expo. And there's going to be basically it's kind of an industry show, trade show, information show, educational show. But a lot of manufacturers are going to have booths there. And that's
Booths?
Booths.
Oh, booths.
Yes.
Booths.
Booths.
Whatever. Not booze.
Booths.
Not boobs.
Booths.
BOOTHS.
Stop it. Crossbreed Holsters is one of them. So I know that Mark Walters is planning on doing a book signing at the Crossbreed Holsters booth. I'm not sure what day. It might be Saturday. So if you're going to go, pop on the Student of the Gun Facebook page or on the grad program page.
Maybe you should.
Not grad program, the gun district page.
Maybe you should co-host the book signing.
I'll co-host.
With Mark Walters.
Yeah, I'll co-host the book signing. I'll stand next to him and pat him on the head and tell him he's doing a good
Mark,
job.
I'll sign your book for people
You're
too.
doing a good job. You're doing such a good job. I'm so proud of you. Any hooser, my point is this. Swing by the Crossbreed booth if you're there and tell them thank you for supporting Student of the Gun Radio. As a matter of fact, if you see any of our... I know Brownells is supposed to have a booth there. I know Crossbreed is supposed to have a booth there. Where's my magic piece of paper?
Here's the deal. This is what's going to happen. Student of the Gun will be there, and we will be announcing where we are during the day with the Twitter account. So,
Oh, we're going to tell you before that. But any hooser. So if you're going to be there, we want to know, and we want to say hi to you. So you can say hi to us.
Yes.
There you go. That's the end of that story. All right, freaks. April 19th, 1775, the battles of Lexington and Concord. Now, it was kind of a lopsided battle because the Patriot militia, or the basically just the people, I guess you could say, of the colonies, because remember, it wasn't the United States of America then, it was just the colonies. And they were British colonies. And here's the thing, the British are coming is bullcrap. Okay, that is a myth. The colonists still believed themselves to be sovereign British citizens with all the rights afforded to people who lived on the island of, Great Britain. They did not believe that they were U.S. citizens. That wasn't a thing then. And the British are coming. They wouldn't have said the British are coming because they considered themselves to be British. They didn't consider themselves to be Americans or U.S. citizens or what have you. Now, up to this point, if you know your history, if you know your American history, the history of the United States of America, you know that 1775 was actually almost 5 years after the Boston Massacre. Where British troops opened fire on essentially protesting / rioters in Boston. It was really cold because they were throwing snowballs and ice, chunks of ice and stuff at the troops. When was that? Was it March? I'm pretty sure it was March. I mean, let me look it up because you're over there doing something. Boston Massacre. And I hate Massacre. That's right. The Boston Massacre was March 5th. I knew I was right. Okay, March 5th, 1770. And so, yeah, actually more than 5 full years later, you had the Battle of Lexington and Concord a year and a month later. And let's talk about the Boston Tea Party. Now, the Boston Tea Party, and as we've discussed previously, the Boston Tea Party it didn't just happen in Boston. There were protests all over the colonies against the forcing. Now, what was the Tea Party about, Jared? Was it about the fact they didn't want to pay that much for the tea?
It was about, I'm going to go ahead and say, taxes.
Well, the fact
it was the government controlling. It was the controlling.
The government forcing the colonists to purchase one product.
Yep.
It was a product. They were forced to purchase that product. The price actually went down.
Yeah.
But it was because they protested because the British government, the Crown, told them, you're going to buy this. This is what you're going to buy.
Yep.
End of story. And they're like, hell to the no. We're not going to do that. Now, that took place on December 16th, 1773.
Did you see the cartoon thingy that I tagged you in? Where it's got Obama, it's got a gun to this dude's head, and it says citizen on the guy, and the gun on the gun it says IRS, and he's got a cake in front of him, and the cake says Obamacare, and Obama's saying, eat it. And then the citizen's looking at the Senate, the Senate is just...
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, it was very well done.
Why did I set up all that history for you? And I know numbers are difficult on the radio. Well, people have this weird thought that everything in the American Revolution happen like all at once or just like in one big sweeping action. Like we had Lexington and Concord, then we signed the Declaration of Independence, then we had a war, and then we had the Constitution, boom, 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 and it all happened really super fast. Well, it didn't. There was a lot leading up to that. They had the Stamp Act, the Intolerable Acts, the Tea Act, all these different government programs, all these different government basically punitive actions where the crown decided they were going to punish the peasants in the colonies, and they were going to punish them in their pocketbooks. They were going to punish them by taking money away from them, or forcing them to purchase a product that they didn't want to purchase, or to increase the amount of revenue taxation. And the people put up with it. They did. The American Revolution did not begin because of taxes. You are told that the American Revolution began because of the tea tax or the Intolerable Acts or the Stamp Act or whatever. You're told that. But patriot and loyalist, British regular and American citizen or colonist citizen, they did not exchange gunfire with each other until something else happened. They weren't exchanging gunfire because of taxes. Now, they were angry about that. They were very angry about the taxes. They were very upset. They were writing letters and sending them to the king, and the Continental Congress got together. And the Continental Congress was not recognized or sanctioned as an official legislative body by the crown. You know that, right, Jared?
Yeah.
They appointed royal governors. So people from England, thousands of miles away, were overseeing the everyday life of the peasantry in New England. No. Why did the British regulars march out of Boston? Why did they leave Boston? And why did they go to Lexington? What was their aim? What was their goal? Now, they went to Lexington and they went to Concord, both in Massachusetts, and they wanted to capture the colonial leader Sam Adams, who was also the head of the Sons of Liberty, and John Hancock. They wanted to get both of them. Now, Paul Revere was involved in it, but it wasn't just Paul Revere. There are actually several riders. As a matter of fact, Paul Revere only was able to get a short distance before he was captured and held prisoner, and then later escaped or was kind of let go because they got busy doing other stuff. And what you guys need to know is this, and what you need to keep in your little brain housing group, is that the mission of the British troops let's just go ahead and say the state. The mission of the state, of the federal government at the time, was to go out, capture these rebels, and to seize and or destroy all weapons of war. The mission was to capture Adams and Hancock and to seize powder, shot, cannons, and also anything that could be used for military provisions. The American Revolution did not begin until the government decided to exercise gun confiscation. This wasn't the first time. This was actually the third time that a plan like this had been undertaken. The first two times, the first time they got wind of it, the colonists got wind of it, and they hid everything. And so the troops got nothing. The second time, they knew they were coming, and they confronted them. And the British weren't yet ready to kill their fellow citizens. You understand that the British soldiers were citizens of Great Britain, and the colonists were citizens of Great Britain? This was not, these weren't, like people from Mars that came down into the colonies to...
They were people.
They were They shared family history and ancestries. They were all white English-speaking people who all hailed basically from the same area originally. It wasn't like the Japanese invading Pearl Harbor when you say, hey, those are Japanese and hey, those are Americans. No, folks, these were British regular troops firing on British colonists. Yeah. And they met them on Lexington Green, and the quote is like, "Throw down your arms, ye damn rebels," or "Damn you rebels, throw down your arms," or whatever. And even to this day, scholars cannot say for certain who fired the first shot. I mean, because both sides, in the aftermath, both sides blamed the other. The colonists said that a lowly British soldier like nervously fired his flintlock and pow, and then the British say that a cowardly colonist fired from a hedgerow or whatever. It doesn't really matter. The fact is it was a powder keg and it was getting ready to explode, because what you had the government troops who decided that the peasants were out of control. And the peasants needed to be punished, and the peasants needed to have their arms taken away from them because they could not be trusted with the possession of gunpowder and cannon.
There's a rather large misconception, apparently, nowadays, that the majority of what was America then was involved in the revolution. I don't. Why is that? Is it just the lack of
it's just you just assume. It's like people assume that the United States of America, as it currently sits, was always going to be. It was just a fait accompli. It was just gonna happen, and that everybody. Well, I mean, it's the spirit of '76. Everyone gets on the bandwagon after everybody's a Saints fan after the Saints win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we witnessed that.
Yeah, everybody is a fan of their, everybody's a Cowboys fan when the Cowboys win the Super Bowl. Nobody's, there's a lot they're not fans before.
Somebody has to do the hard part, though.
Right. So after the American Revolution successfully ended and we won and had our own country, all these guys are like, "Oh yeah, woo! Look at me waving my flag! Yeah, oh yeah, I was behind it the whole time! Yeah, woo!" No, it was something like three. It was third, and a third. Essentially, they'll say that historians have agreed generally that about a third of the population were hardcore patriots and wanted to dissolve from England. A third were loyalists or Tories that felt that they didn't see anything wrong with the current system, and you guys need to just shut up and quit screwing it up for everybody else. And then the other third, you're like, well, what's the other third? They're basically just kind of like riding the fence. They're just like waiting it out to see who won. Lexington Green, the British troops confront the colonial militia on the green, and somebody fires a shot. The British shoot down the militia. The militia, if they fired back, it was very little. If you read the tales of the story, very few of the militiamen actually stood their ground and fired back. Most of them, like, holy crap, I can't believe this is happening, and they ran. And there was blood on the ground. The scent of blood was in the air, and the troops, the regulars, got on it, and they started bayoneting and shooting and burning. Something that we don't hear about in the history books, and an excellent book for you guys to read that details in great detail not just the battles of Lexington and Concord and Paul Revere's Ride and so forth, but the entire year that led up to that situation. It's called Paul Revere's Ride by David Hackett Fisher, not the Longfellow poem, but the actual book. And it's a fantastic read. You guys should pick it up, and it details what went on that day. So what happens? Lexington Green, boom, 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 shot heard around the world. That's how they used to teach it in school, in American schools, that it was the shot heard round the world, that the entire world perked up, and they're like, whoa, the peasants fired on the king's regulars. They defied the king. The king has been openly defied. Not just defied by sneaking in at night and dumping some tea in the harbor. Not just defied by basically burning an effigy and protests and so forth, but defied with arms. This was the first major incident in the American Revolution, or what would become the American Revolution, where the king was defied with arms. Now, the whole part of the Paul Revere's Midnight Ride, and William Dawes and Samuel Prescott also were along, was to alert the countryside that the British regulars were coming for them. And so by the time the regulars marched up to Lexington Green, most of the countryside was aware that they were coming and they were there and their intentions. Now, I'm sure a lot of people, it's like this is human nature. They thought, well, okay, I know that they're here and I know that they're coming into our town, but, they're just following orders and they haven't really done anything yet. But when all those guys got shot down and lay bleeding on Lexington Green, and then they decided to go house to house to search for arms. They were still searching for arms and powder and any military stores. That was one of the things that they were looking for, military stores. They went through house to house, and people who resisted, this is something that you're not often told. If you had a house or a business in Lexington or Concord or anywhere along the route, and they wanted to come in and you resisted, they shot you or they bayoneted you. And if they were really angry at you, they set your building or your house or your home or your barn on fire. That happened. Well, they weren't done yet. The British weren't done yet. Their officers formed the men up and they said, hey, our mission is to go to Concord because our spies have told us, our Tory spies, our loyalist spies. Yes, there were neighbors informing on neighbors. The government had lists. Jared, did you realize that? The government had lists of people. And the lists weren't created because the government went out and got them. The lists were created from the loyalists, the Tories, the spies, turning in their neighbors. My neighbor's always complaining about his taxes. Our neighbors, they have a large store of powder and ball. We know where their cannon are. The British troops were going out looking for ball, powder, cannon, so forth, because they had been told by their informers in the community where they were. So they marched on to Concord, thinking, okay, well, that's what you get. We just spanked them on the green there, and you guys can go bury your dead. And they marched on. But by the time they got to the bridge in Concord, they realized that homie wasn't playing no more. And hundreds upon hundreds of local militiamen had gathered. Now, I'm not going to run the whole entire story, but essentially the British troops had to essentially what they call a fighting retreat. They had to exercise a fighting retreat all the way back to Boston. And the colonists and militiamen harassed them with gunfire all the way back until they met up with reinforcements from Boston, and they were outnumbered. And from that point forward, they closed off the city of Boston. As you guys know, Boston sits on a neck. It's kind of a peninsula that sticks out. They closed up Boston. They had British warships in the harbor, so they were able to secure it. And that was the beginning of the American Revolution for real. Now, the title of this story is The Torch of Liberty. And during a previous episode, episode 97, going way back, all the way back, I did a segment. This is when we were doing part 1, part 2. You remember that, Jared?
Yep.
Yep. That was actually 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Over a year ago. More than a year ago.
We started January 1st, 2015 was 100.
So, yeah. So, year and a half at least. I did a segment on the radio called Liberty is Light. Now, as you guys know, or you should know, the Statue of Liberty, what is she holding high above her head? It's not a sword. It's not a musket or a rifle. It's not a basket of fruit. It's a torch. Because a torch is the representation of light. And people say, well, she's shining her light to the world to get here. I'm going to say no. Everyone thinks that the torch, that Lady Liberty's torch, is lit in order to guide people to the United States, to guide the tired, the hungry, the huddled masses, give us your sick, your poor, your everything. No. Light is energy. You guys understand that, right? That light is the product, it is the result of positive energy, the application of energy. You cannot have light, actual light, whether it's the sun, that big yellow thing in the sky, that is energy. That is burning gas. Yes. Fire produces light, but fire is positive energy. When there's a big thunderstorm and lightning strikes the ground and it interrupts the electrical grid, what happens? The lights go out, right? It gets dark. If I walked over to that wall that I'm pointing to that you can't see, and I pushed down on those switches, the room would be instantly dark. Now, is the room instantly dark because I kicked over the activator button on a darkness creation machine? Is there a darkness creation machine in the world? Do we have handheld, portable darkness creation machines? No, we don't. Why? Because darkness is the natural state of the universe. It is the default. Darkness just happens. It happens all on its own. You don't do anything. Matter of fact, if you do nothing, that is what you get, is darkness. Liberty is exactly like light. You cannot have liberty unless you actually put forth positive energy and you fuel it. All light requires fuel. Light is not infinite. If you stop fueling the light with electricity, or if it's a torch or whatever, if you stop fueling it, if it's a candle, it will go out. You have to continuously tend to the light because darkness is always there waiting to take over. Liberty is the exact same way. The natural default state of man is servitude and slavery. And if you do not exercise positive energy, if you don't fuel it, if you don't tend to it every single day, the slavery and the servitude, the default of man, is right there waiting to happen. All right, it's Tuesday, and it's time for a quiet time moment brought to you by Silencer Shop, not Facebook or Mark Zuckerberg, but Silencer Shop. I've got some recommended reading for you guys. It's a book called The Templars, The History and the Myth from Solomon's Temple to the Freemasons by Michael Haag, or Haag. It's H-A-A-G. I just finished reading this book. I enjoyed it tremendously. If you want to know, if you want to understand, I don't care if you're a Christian, a Jew, agnostic, whatever. But if you want to understand why we are still having problems with the 7th century death cult known as Islam, where this problem originated, and why we haven't fixed it yet, if you want to know why they do what they do, their playbook, read this book. It's called The Templars, The History and the Myth of Solomon's Temple from the Freemasons, or from Solomon's Temple to the Freemasons. It's a very good read. And I enjoyed it tremendously. As a matter of fact, I read it in about a week. It's about 300 plus pages, I guess. I don't have it sitting right here in front of me, but Good book. So if you're thinking, why is the representatives, why are the Muslim missionaries like they are? Why do they do what they do? And why do we have to deal with it? Or you might have friends who think, if we can just show them how much we like them, then they'll be our friends. Yeah. Okay. Educate yourself. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed today's show. Remember, the torch of liberty must continuously be fueled. It needs energy. It needs to be tended to. It doesn't just happen on its own. Liberty is light, and the darkness is always waiting.
Homework assignment for today, guys. Go to studentgungear.com. Today is the launch of our Pocket Lifesaver Wilderness Trauma and Survival Kit. So go to studentgungear.com. Check it out. We have a compact version, which is cheaper, and we have a full-size version, which is more expensive. And also, share this with one person that you feel needs to hear this episode. I know as you were thinking, or as you were hearing Dad talk, that you were thinking of one person that could really use this information. Share it with that person.